This is a Fox News alert. Workers have now been evacuated from a nuclear plant in Japan. Here's a government spokesperson on Japanese television just seconds ago.
The radiation amount near the front gate at around 10 a.m. this morning, it started to increase rapidly from 10 a.m. and it has reached to the unit of millisievert. That's the report we have had. So, all the workers there have suspended their operations, even the minimum ones. And so, we have urged them to evacuate in a safe area, and they have evacuated in a safe area. And for the detail, I will tell later on.
Shep Smith, of course, joins us again live from Japan. Shep, all we know is front gate, 10 a.m., increased rapidly, and workers have suspended their operations. I don't know if that's the 50 or 60 workers who are still desperately trying to resolve that question at the Fukushima nuclear reactor site or not. But this is not good news.
No, that's what they're trying to lead us to believe, at very least. 11:30 a.m. Now here in Japan, so that would have been an hour and a half ago. They now tell us the radiation levels increased rapidly. For a society that uses words very carefully and use nuanced tones, increase very rapidly is a statement of great substance. I would surmise from all that we've heard over the last few days. Let's put the facts together. Reactor number 1, 70% exposed, which is tantamount to a meltdown. Reactor number 2, 33% compromised, which is tantamount to something toward meltdown. Reactor number 4, a fire yesterday, then it was put out or something like that, and then today a fire again at reactor number 4, the reactor where the rods were in a cooling pool. They had been offline before, putting off steam. If they don't have enough water, they will contaminate the air, potentially the water and the ground. There was a fire there. They told us they got that under control. They did not tell us that they put that fire out. I thought that was significant. The fire is out was never heard. The fire is under control is what we heard. And from that we were to surmise that those workers there were pumping water into that, which would keep the fuel rods underwater, because if they're not underwater, what water is there will boil, and that boiling water will send off radiation. The only way that they got water onto those fuel rods is through those workers, because the pumps are not working and there's no water. You have to bring it in and physically put it on there. So what are we left with? No more workers at the plant. I believe that's what they just told us. That means no more water on these fuel rods. That's what we can surmise. Otherwise, it would be my assumption that they would tell us, don't worry, the workers are gone, but we now have an automatic water process, because they haven't had that, and that's been the problem. They had to keep those people behind to keep the situation from getting worse. Now it's become so dangerous, radiation levels rising rapidly, that they had to evacuate the people. So where are we? I'm not sure we're positive where we are, but we know we have to have somebody to put water on the rods to keep them from emanating this radioactive material, and now the people aren't there anymore. I think we're going to know in the hours ahead where we are, but I think this is a very bad development.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, if this were a functioning nuclear reactor, then they wouldn't have to evacuate them. So we can start from the premise that this is from a very sick nuclear reactor. Which one it is, whether it's 1, 3, 2, or the spent fuel rods that have been in this pool that have been slightly exposed. I mean, we don't know what it is, but it's obviously it's got to be from one of those, because you wouldn't have to evacuate 55 workers or 60 from a healthy nuclear power plant. Yeah, the thing that we didn't hear is the woman didn't say, the translator didn't say, or interpreter didn't say, you know, we have good news. You know, we're now able to cool these spent fuel rods off because it's working. So, I mean, I think this news is very disturbing, but I don't know, and we only have part of the soundbite. I can only imagine. Let me ask you about the sailors, our sailors there in Japan. How are they doing?
Well, I'm told, Greta, frankly, that they're doing very well. I spoke with a colonel multiple times over the last few days who is in charge of the operations out there. The vessels which we have at sea in the Pacific have been able to reposition themselves based on the very sophisticated technology that they have to detect radiation and beyond. You know, there's some kinds of radiation that are more dangerous than others. Some you can wash right off your skin. It doesn't penetrate the skin, and that's what they were dealing with. But these ships are able to maneuver themselves around the island that is Japan into a position that would not allow them to be injured in any way. And the colonel from... Yes, go ahead, sorry.
Let me just interrupt you that the AP has now got a report on this. Let me read it to you. It's short. Japan's top government spokesman says that a surge in radiation means workers are unable to continue even minimal efforts at a stricken nuclear plant. Chief Cabinet Secretary Yukio Edano said Wednesday that work on dousing reactors with water was disrupted when workers were forced to withdraw after radiation levels surged early in the day. It doesn't say where, but it says work on dousing reactors with water. So they are obviously not cooling those reactors down. That's the news.
Well, listen, Greta, and from the very beginning, what we've been told on camera and off camera is this: we're fine as long as we can keep liquid onto that place. As long as we can still have our workers there, everything's fine. What happens if we can't have our workers there is a completely different story. But what we've been told from the beginning is we won't get to that point. We're sure that we're fine. We're sure that this is contained. We're sure that the containment domes are in place. We're positive that this is not going to become any sort of Chernobyl. This is not that sort of situation. We will be able to keep our workers there. It will remain safe enough, and as a result, this situation, which is already bad, will not get worse. Now the workers are gone, and now I don't know what the future holds, but it does not look pretty.